Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on The Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity-related diseases and disorders and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to The Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise." That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Welcome to the Plus Sides Podcast. You are in the presence today of GLP-1 evangelist. Hallelujah.
GLP-1 greatness.
What did you say? GLP-1 what?
GLP-1 greatness. I don't know.
Oh, I was like, GLP-1 greatness. Hallelujah. For you people that are new here, where you been? Where you been? Because at this point, we are now in season 4, if you were watching this podcast. And we are glad to have you here. But I'll just give you a little tidbit. We'll go round robin because this is the beginning. So my name is Kim, and this is the Plus Sides Podcast. And this podcast is driven by the community that take GLP-1 medications, struggle with the disease of obesity and type 2 diabetes, PCOS, insulin resistance, all the things on TikTok. We do have guests sometimes from that are creators on Instagram or creators on YouTube, but primarily it is the very large, ever evolving and growing TikTok GLP-1 community. And we share our voices on here.
Yep.
And I'm emotional today because I quit my job to do this full time and be an activist and try to help people and change things, because I think that we are really in a place with science where we are there, and we are in a place with society where we are not, and we are a place where legislation, where things can be moved. And the podcast is right in the middle. So I want to be able to focus. Help. So
you're in the thick of it all.
It's very scary. It's like,
hang on to your butt.
Hang on to your butt, because it's about to get crazy.
You're doing great, Mama.
You really are.
I'm trying. So we're going to do what we can. And I'm going to put everything I can in. I got your back. And I've taken all the GLP-1.
You really have.
Like all the ones for obesity, the ones for type 2 diabetes, which we all know are the same. And I've taken them, and I've lost 107.8 pounds, which is like crazy, because I've even had surgery and didn't lose that. Struggled with my obesity my whole life, binge eating disorder since I was 8, and I have not binged anything at all since I started these medications. And I have healed my relationship with food. I have a stronger sense of self. I have a community. I am the healthiest I think I've ever been in my life. My life is so full, and I just want it for everybody. So I'm going to quit being a whiner, and let's talk to Kat. Kat, who are you? What you doing? Why are you here?
Hey, I'm Kat. I love Prince a lot. I'm wearing my really beloved t-shirt. If you know by now. So yeah. But if you're not, then Yeah, I love Prince. Anyway, so I have leveraged Mounjaro and then PBMs, and now my candy is gone. So now, thank you to Fridays. I took my candy away. But thanks Fridays. I am on compounded. And Mounjaro helped me lose 60, 65. Sometimes I got into 70. I am a proud slow responder, sometimes a non-responder. I had been a gainer for a while, for a couple of months, but I think that's also, I was off of my anti-SADs, and we'll talk about on another episode. But now everything is starting to get back into check, and it's starting to come back down again. So I'm still up that happy 60, 65 range. I'd love to get back to 70, 75, but slow race. Slow pace wins the race.
Yeah.
So it's long haul. It's long.
I mean, it's taken me 2 years, Kat. Like, it's
doing great, Kat. You're doing amazing.
So. Yeah, I want to say something really quick, because Kim and I had this conversation last week when I had a really tough morning, but I went to the gym and I exercised the demons, and I was better. I exercised that demon.
I did movement.
Yeah. And we were talking about how, do you remember how when you would wake up and you'd have an awful day, and let's say you don't go to the gym, and the next thing you know, you're in front of a 6-pack of Krispy Kreme donuts because you're so pissed off and you're so angry, and you try to fight it as much as you can. But, and now DoorDash makes it way too easy for us to sit inside the house and hate yourself. Right. And no slam on DoorDash. We know better, but
we still love you, DoorDash.
Yeah, we do.
Would you like to sponsor the podcast?
I'll order a salad. But Kim and I were like, I don't do that anymore. I have no desire. No, I don't. I don't sit at the house and stew and get sad and deeper and deeper and deeper. And a lot of it is, you're external. You work on yourself through therapy and through other, through my other doctors, and it's a whole thing. So what people think that it's just a skinny pill, they're full of horse manure.
No,
it's not. It's not.
No, I think that's so cool, Kat. And that was what was cool, because I remember you had sort of this aha moment, like, wait, I didn't do that. I went to the gym instead. I went to a place and not because you were trying to abuse yourself or prove something or anything like that, or punish yourself. You did it to feel better. You did it.
I had to switch it off.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that you had the control, I think, is what's key. Right. Like that's what we talked a lot about on the show, or I never shut my mouth about it, about being able to be responsible and accountable for my own choices. I definitely felt when I was plagued with food noise that I was a slave to it. Right. Like
you are.
Felt, right. And I really do think that behaviors then kind of they get from there. Right. Like, and it's like it starts, and then you start this, and then that's the way that you solve for that problem, because that's what your brain told you that you need, until you just feel really bad about yourself, Now, I just want to say, for the record, Krispy Kreme donuts are the best donuts. So it's not a bad way to spend, maybe not a box. Everything in moderation.
Right.
Agreed. I love it. But it was cool because you realized that you had made that choice. And it's very, very powerful when you are in control of your car, your body, right? When you are in your driver's seat. And that's been the difference for me. And when we hear people say, right, I want to take this medicine forever, and people panic because of shortages, and people panic because of all the insurance companies that are trying to take this off, basically. They're trying to keep us off them or get them off from whatever it is, right? The reason that's happening, one, is because it's really expensive, but the reason people panic, it's not because they don't want to get fat again. It's because there's sick people that need medicine, period. And that is what we talk about here. And we want to give Sabrina, who is our lovely co-host at time. JT's not here tonight. Sabrina's subbing in. We like to mix it up. And we want to hear why you're here, who you are, and what's it all about.
Hi, I'm Sabrina Ramos. I am down 76 pounds from using Mounjaro. I've been on it for 13 months. I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes and obesity last year, and have made quite a change in my life. I feel amazing, and I absolutely love this podcast.
We love you.
Just FYI, Sabrina, like your makeup is like totally slaying tonight. Like
It is slaying.
Thank you.
I'm telling you. Also, I do think it's because Sabrina has a new computer and now her lighting is all perfecto.
Now you can see me.
I know, it's fabulous.
But thank you. Thank you.
Well, we have 2 special guests today. And we are TikTokers. And we found them because the community tagged me in a video, which we're going to share here in just a second. And so that you can kind of see what we're talking about and have context of how it came about. But the community was so touched by the message and felt it so deeply that they flooded the comments with tags for the plus sides and myself. And then I reached out and invited our special guest on today. And that I'm going to go ahead and tell John, cue the TikToks.
Accommodate them either. There's a difference between paying for extra legroom solely for comfort and needing it to be safe. And fly with dignity.
See, what we're not going to do is compare somebody's life choice versus something that somebody cannot control. And to be honest, I don't even know how I got on air travel TikTok or airplane TikTok, but it seems to be one of the only things that I'm seeing on my For You page nowadays. And because this girl does a lot of plus size travel, and that's kind of her main content, I've seen a lot of her content come across my page. And before I get the hate, I'm going to put it this way. I am not saying anything against people who are overweight, who are having problems fitting into an actual seat.
Kind of seems like you are, though.
Not beautiful, that she's not a human, that she's not anything. Because I agree that if you want to live your life a certain way, go for it. The way that you live your life is how you live your life. How I live my life is how I live my life. But what we're not going to do is for you to continually in your videos try to compare yourself who's made a choice in life to live a certain way and to be a certain way. Say that your choice to be a certain size is in the same realm as somebody who didn't have a choice. You can't choose how tall you're going to be.
Now here I am wondering how you ended up on my FYP, so you see everything comes full circle. Hey, I'm Dr. Sammy, board-certified pediatrician, and actually I would love to know what your credentials are if you're willing to share them. Now sadly, what I see in your video is a shit ton of assumptions and judgment. I also see a shit ton of ableism and selfishness, so I'm just going to piggyback off of what you said, and I'm going to be a straight shooter with you too, boo, okay? So here's what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is be uneducated. Yes, absolutely, everybody has choices about how they move their body and what they put in their body, or how they take care of their body, but I would think by now in 2024 that you would have understood that not everyone has an even playing field. You can be like Elizabeth Sullivan, the lady who lived to be 106 years old and drank Dr. Pepper every day and credited her health for that. Never seemed to gain a pound. Some people choose to alter the bodies that they were given by doing Botox and fillers, and that's okay. No judgment. Others use Botox to help with their spastic quadriplegia, but my bad, you have a very specific definition of what disability is.
It's not like you're disabled. You have the ability to walk, right? You have the ability to walk. You have the ability to talk. You are a grown adult who is fully able.
So I'm just wondering if you could come to work with me one day and spread your wisdom and talk to my 300-pound 12-year-old patient. Mom, dad, brother, and sister are all D1 athletes, and they all eat a very healthy diet and they lead a very healthy lifestyle. But somehow his life choice was to get Prader Willi. If you have to Google what that is, you never should have made the video in the first place. If you're going to tell me, well, that's the exception, not the rule, well, you're not in charge of deciding what the rule is and what the exception is. Or perhaps you wouldn't mind explaining your logic to my 8-month-old patient who was growing exponentially in every direction because he had a brain tumor. Maybe you can talk to him about the consequences of his actions.
Try to compare yourself who's made a choice in life to live a certain way and to be a certain way. Say that your choice to be a certain size is in the same realm as somebody who didn't have a choice. You can't choose how tall you're going to be. You can't choose the color of your skin. You can't choose if you're disabled. Certain things happen to certain people in life that they cannot choose or opt out of. Your size, unfortunately, maybe fortunately, it depends on how you...
The confidence is not only astounding, but depressing. Listen, the more we learn about obesity, the more we learn that it is also a chronic illness, not very dissimilar to a bunch of the other things that you spoke about. Obesity is a complex multifactorial disorder, which includes genetics, disorders, medications, and environment. Now I'm going to take a wild leap here that you don't know any of that when it comes to the person that you stitched. Now in a follow-up video, you mentioned that being hypothyroid doesn't excuse you from making good choices, and people actually agreed with you. This is just to me spoken like someone who's never prescribed Synthroid before. Yet again, another misinformed assumption. We won't even talk about all the autistic, nonverbal kiddos who can only eat like 2 or 3 things. It's either that or starve, who also classify as being in the overweight category. So is that child in the disabled category by your logic, or is he just fat? You keep talking about things that we can control. And what's fascinating to me is that the more we learn about the human body, the more we realize that there are many things that we thought we could control that we actually can't control. And the only thing that we can actually control as human beings is our ability to be kind to other people. The one thing you seem to have failed at. So I'm also going to do some assumptions based on your video. I'm going to assume that not only have you never experienced any medical issues in your life and never had your ass humbled, but you've also never actually loved or been close to someone in a plus size body. You've never watched them struggle and try and diet and do all of the things that they're supposed to do all the time, being told and gaslit that they're not doing enough, all the while thinking, wow, I'm so lucky and privileged. And all they did was exist and got dealt another deck of cards. I've got a friend who was told by the medical community that she wasn't trying enough for 30 years of her goddamn life, only to find out later, because her friend happens to be a doctor, that she has something called atypical CAH. If you don't know what that is, then I can't help you. I could sit here and talk to you all day about how we're finally getting on board for understanding what processes are in place when it comes to being in an oversized body. But for now, I'll just sit here hoping that no child watches your video, because they're so young and impressionable, they're not going to realize how tone deaf and wrong you really are. They will wallow in self-loathing in the world that people like you have continued to create for them. They will continuously be fighting this uphill battle and constantly being told that what they're doing isn't enough. And the entire world is judging them for it when they haven't one day taken a look at their medical chart and seen what's up. I'll end on this note. It takes 11 years minimum to be a physician. It takes an absolute miracle to reverse your genetic makeup and environmental situation. But it takes nothing to acknowledge that you might not know what someone else is going through and to be kind. And while you sit there on your high horse judging someone in a plus size body and lecturing them to tell them that they should live the consequences of their actions every day, the irony of it all is that you also had a choice to be kind and to treat others well, and you didn't do it. Have the day you deserve. And for anyone else who's listening to this, please don't listen to people like that. They will get their time.
3, 2.
Looky. It's Dr. Anna. How are you, ladies?
Hi, we're doing great. Thank y'all for having us.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for coming. And thank you for your advocacy efforts. They matter more than you will ever know. We talk a lot on the podcast about the ripple effect, right? And the amount of people that have heard one person that went on a live and then heard it from somebody else that they aren't alone. It's not their fault. It's a disease. There are treatments and all these different things. Hearing people stand up for you, right? Even if it's somebody that appears to be in a smaller body, is very powerful. And we thank you for doing that because it matters, you know? So, but I would love if you would take some time, both of you, to tell us a little bit about who you are and how you help people.
Awesome. Well, I'm Dr. Anna. Dr. Sammy and I met in residency, and we were BFFs from the start, from the beginning of our crazy night calls together. And somehow we both ended up back in one place, and we ended up working in the same place. And then the pandemic happened, right? We had a lot of our family. So we're both pediatricians. We're community general pediatricians that practice together. And we noticed a lot of families, especially during the time of COVID, there was not a lot of access to good quality information online. So, they messaged and, they would tell us, why don't you do something online or, Facebook or this platform or that platform? And we thought, we thought about it and we decided, okay, we could do a podcast. Like we're kind of both introverts and we were not into social media at all. If you can believe that or not, but we were not inclined to be on social media. So we actually did a podcast for a couple of seasons, and we wanted to just give reliable information to parents that are kind of in this environment right now with raising children and figuring out what information is real and what's not, and who to listen to with all the misinformation out there. So we thought we'd do our part. And then we went on social media to kind of tell people about our podcast. And then, one thing led to another. And here we are on TikTok now. So, it's been quite a journey, and I'll let Sammy talk about it, but it's been fun, but it's been a lot because, as I'm sure you know, social media is a lot. Generally, the culture that, everything has evolved into in the last, decade is taxing, and we have day jobs too. So it's a lot, but we're just trying to do a little bit at a time, whatever we can to help parents out there as much as we can.
Thank you. Awesome. How about you, Dr. Sammy?
Hi, thanks for having us. This is so fun.
Yes, so I'm Dr. Sammy, and as Anna said, we're both pediatricians, and because of COVID, we ventured online, and the last thing we do is podcast, actually. So now we're just known as the PediPals. I think we're a pretty prominent voice on social media now when it comes to like children and child's health and battling misinformation. And the video in question, I'm glad it brought us together. You never know, like you say stuff online, you just don't know what's going to stick and what's not. Like there's so many times Anna and I have made a video and I'm like, that's the winner, that's going to go somewhere, and it's like 100 views. And then that one I think, is because I was responding to someone that it got traction. But I'm glad I hope it's okay to say, but we've never heard of you guys before. But I also think that we're kind of on different parts of TikTok,
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like, well, I follow you because I have a kid. And so I so I've commented on things that you've done before and followed you before. But yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. Like we've been around not even a year and a half yet. So
y'all are, on this corner of TikTok and we're on the other corner. And I didn't see the tags, or I don't know if you did, Anna, but it was, and anyway, regardless, it was really cool that, the internet's wild and awesome in some ways, and it brings people together that never would have happened otherwise. So
but I just wanted to say, what you guys accomplished in that short time is amazing. And so when it got brought to our attention, then I was kind of like binging some of your podcasts because I was like, this is amazing, because we didn't really know that this was out there. So like Sammy said, the universe had a plan to bring us together. So,
and I do think it all kind of brings us, together for a reason, like at certain times, like, and I do feel like when I look at the episodes that we've had, it almost always usually aligns with something that's kind of big going on in discussions and in the news or whatever it is. And, and like, I think sometimes the algorithm knows better than we do,
Food has definitely been a very dominant voice in my head. That's not the main focus anymore. Dieting, exercising, and adding GLP-1s through Ro is a game changer. I have such a sense of mental freedom since I started with Ro. Food no longer controls my thoughts. Family time used to revolve around food, and now it revolves around what we're going to go do together.
That's so true.
Yeah.
The algorithm is really weird. So lately I've been on mountains and hiking of TikTok, which I'm not opposed. It's gorgeous, but I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah.
Just waterfalls and waterfalls. It's very peaceful, my scrolling.
I'm on Ballerina Farm TikTok. I don't know how I ended up here.
Same. I guess we have the same algorithm.
It's so wild.
I don't know how that happened, but it got me.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Ballerina.
Ballerina TikTok?
That immediately. Or
it's
TikTok.
Ballerina Farm.
It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing right now.
It's a whole thing, you guys. We could tell you about it later.
Do they grow ballerinas? I have to know this part at least.
No, it's
farm.
Basically, it's a woman who used to be a ballerina who went to Juilliard, who got married, and then dropped it all, moved to the country, owns a farm, has 8 children. And it's homesteading. And there's a whole controversy with it.
Oh, that sounds super interesting.
Yeah.
Once you look it up, you're going to be stuck on it. It's going to be in your feed forever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of opinions.
Maybe I'll do it on my backup account just in case. Yeah. Sorry, Kai, go ahead.
Oh, it's fine. So is it PediPals?
Yeah.
So I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah.
Cool. Great. So since we're talking about 2 pediatricians, of course, we're going to chat about something that has affected both Kim and I, which is childhood obesity. Can you kick us off with any sort of statistics as they relate to childhood obesity? Are the numbers growing, and by how much?
Okay. Yeah.
You go first, and then I'll go.
Sure. So yes, I think the CDC reported that it's almost 20% of children and adolescents are affected by obesity right now. And that is, I believe, a triple kind of increase since the 1930s or so. So it's about 1 in 5 now. And so it has increased, and it does affect obviously a lot of families and a lot of children. So it's definitely a ubiquitous topic and something that we as pediatricians deal with every day.
Yeah. And a lot of the statistics, some of that data that we've collected, like, for example, as you guys know about the BMI and about a lot of the medical statistics that, they are focusing on certain populations. They're not always very accurate. Obesity is a very complex thing, right?
Yes.
We know every body is different. Every size is different. Every culture is different, and every gender is different. So there's a lot of factors in play. And with obesity, it's hard to kind of quantify things because, like you said, there's people in larger bodies, there's people in smaller bodies, and where health and hormonal balance and all these things intersect, it's not as simple as let's see what the BMI has been over, the last 30, 40 years. So me and Sammy kind of deal with this discussion on a daily basis because a lot of parents come to us and say, I'm worried about my child's weight, or I'm worried about their BMI, or I'm worried about this. And so there's just so much that goes into that conversation that it's hard to quantify for statistics, and it's hard because everybody's so different. So yeah, it's just a difficult topic to start with.
I really appreciate that approach, like what how you're sharing it, because it's true. We don't take into consideration cultural, socioeconomic areas, genetics, body type, anything. And BMI is kind of up for debate.
It's straight trash.
It's trash.
I was trying to be PR friendly.
And it's unfortunate because as pediatricians, even the AAP, the American Academy of Pediatrics, recognizes the limitations of using BMI, but it's cheap right now. So it's the only thing we can do to kind of level the playing field across the country where there are different socioeconomic statuses and there's different access and there's all kinds of different things. For now, I don't think it's the future of medicine, but right now it's the only thing we have, but it is a very flawed metric. So it definitely poses a lot of challenges for us when we're treating our patients too.
Imagine with children, it's even I feel like more difficult. And I'm wondering, I'm going to hijack right quick just because it's relevant. We had been hearing, so we know One Telehealth that they kind of started a peds side, and they specifically do genetic testing to test for obesity. Do you know much about that, or can you explain that to us? Because I don't know much about it.
Yeah. So I think when it comes to genetics, again, there's a lot of work being done because there are several conditions, like Sammy touched on her video that you guys were talking about, with syndromes like Prader-Willi, things like autism, a lot of which have genetic connections, right? And that could have obesity associated with it, not just from a metabolic standpoint, hormonal standpoint, but also a behavioral standpoint. Like you guys were mentioning, there's it's a multifaceted approach, right? And so it's, again, not as clear cut as a single gene or a single thing that you can find, right? But there are some genetic conditions that might be more prone to that. Just like you can have some genetic conditions where people are more likely to develop thyroid disease, or they're more likely to develop a heart condition, right? Or mental health, right? And ADHD. I mean, all these things, right? We're finding genetic links to these, but it's not as clear cut. And so it's a good it's something good to discover and to learn about. But I think having the big picture in place, makes us have to look at multiple things and not just one.
Absolutely.
It's the whole spectrum of obesity, really. Yeah. It's not one thing.
It's not. And as clinicians, it's challenging for us because there's some more common things that we can look for, which most of us do, honestly. But then, it's just a Pandora's box. I mean, there's just so many things that we haven't tapped into, so many rare disorders, so many rare metabolic, endocrine, which is hormonal imbalances, all kinds of things that would require, like, first of all, insurance approval, or, you know, and then also just knowing what to look for. So it is, we do all as physicians kind of look for the common things, but I think we're missing a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we actually kind of had a little sigh of relief when the American Academy of Pediatrics released this paper about obesity and how to kind of just start the discussion, a more in-depth discussion that wasn't just so plain and simple as BMI or as metrics that or growth charts even that we check on our visits, on our well child visits. But it was this paper that they came out with a couple of years ago was going through all of these things, like socioeconomic status, like cultural. And so I think it was really a relief for all of us that had been waiting for that, you know, in the medical community. And it was validation for a lot of people. And it was eye-opening for a lot of people because of how, you know, the training, even in medicine, it's been evolving so rapidly in the last, several decades. So we were just very excited that we were talking about it. It's not going to be perfect. There's not going to be an easy, one way to do anything, but starting the conversation and having the conversation is the most important part.
You guys, I wish I had that with you. These were guidelines that were like released by the AAP. So there's guidelines on like how to treat asthma, how to whatever. And they come out, you know, every time, you know, the AAP realizes that something's outdated, we have new data and we need to, this was 100 pages.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. 100 pages were the new guidelines. And the conclusion was, we don't know anything.
It's not simple.
Yeah, it was just like, this is complicated and we're just starting to figure this out. And it got a lot of criticism because they were really kind of being, in my opinion, progressive and talking about medications, even for children. And so, it was like
the recommendation was to be aggressive, wasn't it? Wasn't it something like that? Like they were saying we should aggressively treat it right now. Like with these medicines, right? Like wasn't that I remember when it came out, we were all like,
yes, it was really like we just need to stop recommending diet and exercise and we need to do something. Yeah.
Wow. Finally.
And well, everyone freaked out. Like parents were freaking out. Pediatricians were freaking out. Like everybody was like, I remember I was just driving to work and I heard it on the radio and people were just like, oh my God, how dare we, you know, even think about this? And so we kind of had the opposite approach. We were kind of like, finally, but people really did have a panic attack because when it comes to medicines, you know, with kids, it's also it's a sensitive thing. For a lot of parents.
I'll be honest with you. I mean, my son's autistic. He does not have weight issues, but his dad and I both have obesity now. I've always, I'm telling you from the beginning of Kim, there is no skinny Kim in existence. I'm not even skinny now. I'm just not. I'm a big.
Me too.
Yeah. And my son though is more. He's very tall and lean and all of that, but he is autistic and he is a snacker. And
he loves them snacks.
And so I don't want to put my food stuff on him, right? So when I've been learning a lot about, you know, the brain and how it's all kind of involved by having so many doctors on our show to share with us so that we can understand our bodies, right? And I'm like, what do I say to him so that he can understand nutrition, right? Without my stuff coming on him. And I just explained that there are no good foods or bad foods, but everything's just food and everything's just fuel. And I explained it like a gas station, like all the fuel will get you where you're going. But for now, what I want you to do is it's okay if you have McDonald's, but I want you to lead with your protein. And I don't want you to have McDonald's every day because we want some premium fuel. We want more premium fuel than we have the low grade fuel. And he goes, Mama, that actually made a lot of sense. And I was like, oh God, like, you know, because I mean, it's hard. And I think a lot of parents that also have obesity, you know, when we see our kids with it, or we think we see it like with our kids, it's hard to know what to do. And on it was the first season, episode 5, I was interviewing a doctor who's an obesity doctor and he's a bariatric surgeon. And I asked him if I could broach the subject. And he told us in that episode, it was eye-opening for many of us, and it's a very popular episode. It's called Fat and Lazy. Go watch it.
Oh, Dr. Rosen.
And
Dr. Rosen.
Dr. Rosen. And he said, okay, like, let's just talk for a minute. He goes, there actually are kids, like, and when I say kids, I mean adolescents, obviously, right, that get bariatric surgery. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. I go, there are surgeons that do bariatric surgery on a kid. He's like, yeah. And we were just like, are you kidding me? And this is me, like, obesity advocate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had no idea. I mean, a lot of that I've learned, like, on the show. But what blew my mind is then he actually brought up the Prader-Willi. I don't know if I'm saying it right. Prader-Willi?
Yeah, he's saying it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. He brought it up and he was like, honestly, there is no treatment for that. He goes, so a medicine like this, as opposed to doing surgery on a child, which is going to last forever, could be a really good treatment. And it's not that you have to do it, but you should be able to talk about it as an option, right? I think that's what's key, right? Is let's have a discussion of what's available, right? And it's amazing because I don't feel like people talk about bariatric surgery for adolescents at all. We have some people in the community though who did, like, as teens, have surgery, and then even now, then eventually regained, and now are on the GLP-1 and in a better place, you know. But it's so true. It's such a complex disease, which is why when I hear people respond and say ridiculously outlandish things like just eat less and move more, I'm like, it's so frustrating. It must be so frustrating as a doctor to hear that. Like, as a human that just struggles with it, like, it drives me crazy. But I feel like if you guys would be like, I can't even with these people. I can't even imagine what that must be like on social media, you know?
Yeah. Well, I wish I could make everyone go into, like, just have like an internship in an area where you just serve a wide variety of people, you know, because I think anyone who says anything is just stuck in a bubble and, like, hasn't met, touched, you know, connected with whatever, someone different, you know, and so they just can get it's become so easily judgmental. I have, you know, you were talking, Kim, I have 2 daughters and they're a couple years apart, same parents, same household. Guess what? They look nothing alike. They've been dealt different genetic hands. And that's fine. They look so different, but the number of people that comment on their bodies is so infuriating to me. So it's like, I'm fighting with the diet industry, with social media, with, you know, the images that are still being put. We've made a little bit of, like, change since the 80s and 90s, but we still have such a long way to go. It's still a very fat phobic society. But the number of people that, like, to a 10-year-old, to an 11-year-old, like, have you lost weight? What are you doing? And, like, why would that even cross your mind, you know? So it's very infuriating, not only as a physician, but also as a parent, because you're constantly, like, trying to undo all this damage. And, like, you're hoping your voice is louder, right? You're like, no, listen to me. Don't listen to that. Don't listen to them. Don't worry about it. You know, and that they're so innocent. They always come so confused. Like, so-and-so said, like, I'm like this and my sister's like that. And I'm like, okay, like, they don't mean bad. You know, they don't.
Well, I am the big one in my family, and my sisters are tiny. So, I mean, it's the same kind of, and I'm tall. Like, I honestly, like, in our pictures, and like, it looks like I'm the adopted kid, right? Because, like, you know, they're all smaller humans. And I'm like Jolly Green Giant, like, in the next by the Tristan tree. There's Kim, I'm almost as tall as the tree, you know, and, like, and it always did make me feel very othered, you know. And my parents didn't make me feel that way by any means, you know, but that's what it made me feel like, because everybody was always commenting on it.
And I need to ask society, that perfect example, which Anna and I see all the time in clinic, that perfect example of the one that might as well be adopted. What explanation do you have other than genetics?
Yeah, exactly. Like, hello.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, Kim. I think you look a lot like your sister, Sam, as I'm talking over you. My bad. I think
Sam's older now, but Sam's older now and she has obesity.
No, in the face. Like, when I worked with you guys, I used to work with them way back in the day. When I worked with you guys, you look, you could
when tell Sam was in high school and middle school, she was a competitive cheerleader and had an eating disorder. And she's pretty open about it. Like, I'm not, like, busting her. She's my baby sister. We're 11 years apart. And And she now is on zepbound and deals with obesity as well. But that wasn't until things started shifting with her hormones. And, you know, I'm her sister and I swear she has PCOS, but, you know, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say, but I swear. And that's about when things started to change, you know, and when hormones started to change. And now we look more alike because she's in a bigger body, you know. But we do, you're right. I do think we have similar faces. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so now that
I am the middle child and I am the tallest, biggest, but my sisters, we all have brown hair and brown eyes, but our brothers are blonde and green or blue eyes. So I get it. Like, but yeah, I'm just the tallest, biggest. It's all right. But anyway.
But I mean, like, I just want to say, like, forget children and, you know, young, impressionable, you know, teens and preteens. But I feel like so many adults internalize this, you know. I mean, I was always in medicine. I am a doctor, right? I had my own weight journey. I had my own weight struggles and got different messages from my parents, from my family, right? There's a lot of messages thrown at you. And from us, we understand it. Like we're privileged enough to understand it from a metabolic, chemical, biochemical way, you know, but I would say for a majority of my life, I still felt like I was doing something wrong, that I was missing something, you know, and that's an educated person. That's a grown ass adult, right? That's a physician. So it's, I think the mental health part of it is very complex. And I was one of the fortunate ones, you know, my family only had positive messages. You know, I was, in a way, I didn't really understand how my body was. Like, I never really thought about it until way later, I think, until maybe end of high school or college. I didn't really understand or do the comparison thing because I got so much positive reinforcement from my parents and specifically my parents, that those noises, I didn't even actually hear it, which is amazing. I don't know how that happened. But later, you know, later when I actually heard it, then I really heard it, right? So like you mentioned, like Sammy mentioned, like, oh, you did such a great job. You lost weight, you know, or let me give you, and they're all well-meaning, you know. So my family is Indian, right? So they are big into the Ayurvedic, the holistic medicine, right? So I got so many things like try this herb and try that herb and let's do it this way, right? And so all those messages, even though well-meaning and, you know, seemingly kind, were so detrimental, right? And so it's just fascinating to me, like how, like, and I was very resistant to medications until way later, you know, like I remember like me and Sammy would talk about it all the time and, you know, like, it just doesn't make sense, you know, like the way the metabolism is, it doesn't make sense. And I think I had this kind of aha moment, like way later, you know, saying that like, because I went through this diet culture, you know, I went through the whole dieting. So just to tell you, I mean, I did every diet in the book and I would do you know, I would reach a certain point. That would be my set point. I couldn't lose weight beyond that point. And then something would happen in life. You know, I did this during residency. I did this during medical school where I had no sleep, nothing, you know, I did these extreme diets where it was just protein, like, you know, no fruit, you know, very restrictive, right? Very restrictive. And I was supplementing. I was doing it with a physician too, like under the guidance. I wasn't just doing, you know, random diets online, right? And was being very methodical about it. And I would reach a certain point. And then, of course, as we know, you cycle back, right? Without even doing anything. And so I told Sammy one time, I was like, you know, it can't be normal to like not be able to have fruit and yogurt and like beans and lentils, you know, like these are all healthy, nutritious carbs. Like, you know, why is it that I gain 20, 30 pounds when I'm just eating fruit, you know, or eating yogurt, right? And then you also do that behavioral cycling where you're like, well, nothing works, so I might as well eat what I want to eat, right? So, I mean, this is the narrative that goes not only for people that aren't educated, but even for people that understand the biochemical part of it, right? Like it's deeply ingrained in our society. And I think unless people share their experiences and actually give these anecdotes, there's no way for people to feel like they're not doing something wrong, you know? or that they are doing something wrong.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, even people in our community that are first starting the medications, they hit stalls and set weights and they panic. They'll come in our lives and they're like, I'm not losing weight. What am I doing wrong? I mean, it's like, it is a constant theme. Now, keep in mind, like us in the GLP community, we take our lives pretty seriously. While I do think that there are some people that may play a little fast and loose, most of us from the doctors in our community, we take the lead, right? So we talk about what we do, what we would do. We tell people to go to their doctor, things like that. But when we do lives, we're more answering things that the doctors don't tell people anything. They give them these medicines and then they just like set them loose, and nobody ever tells anybody what's a set weight. Nobody ever tells anybody, you know, what equals a good dose. We have people come in our lives sometimes and they will say, oh God, I'm so sick. I just got out of the hospital. I've been on Wegovy. I'm sorry. Why are you feeling bad? Because we don't want to just assume, right? And she's like, well, I started on 2.4. Why? Like, because there was a shortage and that's what the doctor thought was okay. They thought eventually you'll go to 2.4. So it's fine. No, that's not the case. So we try to guide, but direct people back to the doctor. But the problem is most doctors don't know. Right. So then now we're having even more issues where now doctors are scared to prescribe because they don't know how to help them manage side effects. Right. And then people are scared of side effects. So then they don't go to their doctor, and then they don't ask their doctor for it, or they're like, my doctor won't prescribe it. So it's like this, it's just getting worse. It's like, it's so bad. And we're trying to let people know like about these things. I would love it if you wouldn't mind. Like, I know this is like introductory, but could you explain a little bit for people that are listening, sort of the idea between the set weight theory and like where that comes from?
Yeah. So I think like, you know, with anything, you know, when I explain it to kids, you know, and I show them the growth chart, this is the simplest way I can explain it to kids. Cause, you know, like you're talking about, you have, you know, 2-3 siblings and they're all different weights and sizes, right? Different body types completely. And parents are like, I'm worried about this one. Right. So first of all, I tell people that, you know, this is a range of normals or the most common in the country, right? You could be always at the top of the charts. You could always be larger body side. You could be at the bottom of the chart. Always doesn't mean you're healthier, right? That's basic, right? Doesn't mean you're healthier if you're always been a small size. We know those people that eat and they eat all kinds of foods and they never gain weight, right? We have a colleague that is like that. And so, and then
eating.
right. Yeah, exactly. So there is, so that in itself is one thing that you kind of have to establish, that, that weight doesn't equate health. Right. And, what we look at is if you've consistent with whichever curve you're on, if you're consistently following that curve, then you're following the trend, you know, that we would expect. Now, if we have big jumps up or big jumps down, then we look at it. You know, there could be a reason for it. It could be a hormonal reason. It could be your diet change, your exercise regimen change. You started playing sports, right? There's all kinds of things, right? And then you could have the people that are always on the bottom of the chart, but same thing applies. If they drop or they jump, right, that is still something we look at. And then when it comes to risk factors, so, you know, do you have a family of everyone that has diabetes, that has obesity? You know, how prevalent is it going to be for that to be in your genetics? You know, and the goal is to prevent these chronic diseases, right? As to prevent diabetes, to prevent, you know, heart attacks and all of these things, right? So with the set point theory, like, I think understanding that your weight is kind of is very identifiable to you, regardless of where you are. And it's just like, you know, your body has been used to operating at that weight, and all the energy sources that it's using to maintain that weight, right? And then when you do these diets and you lose a lot of weight, you know, then your body at one point will be like, I cannot, you know, function. I'm not used to this. Like, I'm used to expending so much energy, so much carbs, all of that. And so your body has an internal set point that it sets. And then a lot of people see that, you know, what is it called? Like, you know, it's like a yo-yo effect, right? You're constantly trying, but you can't get through that, right? Now, with the help of medications, with the help of certain strategies, people can move beyond those, you know, those set points with the help of physicians and science and all of that. But what happens is people get stuck and then they give up, and then they feel like, something's wrong with them, or they're not trying hard enough. And then that yo-yoing is not good. And the other thing I tell people is that, when you're losing weight, you're losing muscle mass, you're losing fat, you're losing water weight, right? Your bones, all that makes a part of your weight, so you could have a higher muscle mass and weigh more, right? And when you're losing weight, you want to be careful of what you're losing as well, right? You want to have a balance of where you started off and you're trying to maintain protein, your muscle mass. So a lot of kids and families just feel like, yay, we lost 20 pounds, right? But what did we do? What does that mean? And so it's complex. And I think the set point thing doesn't really play into until you've cycled through this multiple times. But for kids in general, I feel like I have to break it down with like, my body's different from yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
"20 seconds a week to lose 20% of your weight in a year with diet and exercise. That's the power of GLP-1s through Ro. Ro helps find the medication that's right for you, based on cost, availability, and your weight loss goals. Losing weight with GLP-1s is possible through Ro.
Hey, Plus-Siders. We're so glad that you were able to tune in for part 1 of the episode. Part 2 will be posted next week. We look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week. And remember, you're not alone. It's not your fault. Are you interested in understanding GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro? Then join us on the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, the groundbreaking podcast helping people change their lives one episode at a time. The Plus Sides podcast is a disruptor. We're breaking down barriers, smashing stereotypes, and sharing inspiring stories that'll leave you feeling informed and empowered. Join us every week to learn from doctors who are specialists around GLP-1 medications like Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro. They'll provide you with science and facts to validate these incredible stories. But that's not all. We'll also bring you the voices of the GLP-1 Mounjaro TikTok community, real people who face the challenges of obesity, related diseases and disorders, and discovered the incredible plus sides of GLP-1 medications. Our episodes are filled with heartwarming stories, laughter, and moments of triumph. You'll connect with our amazing community members who are reclaiming their health and experiencing their fullest lives. Are you ready to embark on a journey of discovery and empowerment? Tune in to the Plus Sides, Cracking the Obesity Code, and together we'll change the narrative around obesity and end the stigma. Subscribe now on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and join our incredible community. Let's celebrate the plus sides of life together, because every story deserves to be heard. Every life deserves to shine, and everyone deserves access to expert knowledge and medication. The Plus Sides Podcast. You're not alone. It's not your fault.